As you can see in the last video, installing the Sniper kit, we had some problems. But it turns out we didn't really have problems. The system we were using, using the negative side of the coil as technically your trigger, is really susceptible to RF noise. And this is well documented and known. We read it, but we figured we had great connections. Everything was new, but it still caused us some issues. But we did find the IAC was in pieces, so that was good to get that swapped out of there. And Kevin went ahead and made some modifications to the ignition system. It took care of quite a bit of the ignition miss and the idle jumping around, spark jumping around, because again, a system like that is so sensitive. So Kevin took some video when he was modifying the distributor, luckily, so I have some of that footage. I'm probably just gonna do a little voiceover telling you what he took care of, but it really did make an impact. We just went to the parts store now and got a couple extra things we're gonna need to finish it up. And yeah, we're gonna take you guys along. Part 2, we're hoping to get this thing done. Peace.
All right, so what we're doing here is it was an HEI small cap distributor. And what I did was I dismantled it and got rid of the electronic advance and turned it into a magnetic pickup distributor, non-advancing. We'll install it and see if this solves any of our problems.
Alright, so using a dial indicator in cylinder number 1, as you can see, we're actually verifying top dead center on the motor here. Now, just because the harmonic balancer is marked at 0 or TDC and it fits on the crank doesn't necessarily mean the application is actually pure top dead center. And when relying on the Sniper system to control timing now, we need that to be 100% accurate and in line. So all we're doing is taking essentially a piston stop or a dial indicator and cranking the motor over and verifying our timing marks, which luckily for us, we were right on.
So the next step is to lay out the timing marks on the balancer. There's a few ways to do it, but the easiest way on this one is to measure the factory timing pointer between the 0 and 10 degree mark. This one's 3/4 of an inch, so we bring it over here to this side and go back from 0 and mark every 3/4 of an inch. So now what we're doing is we mark the balancer out to 50 degrees and we rotate it to 50 degrees before top dead center. This is going to set our reference angle in the distributor.
We'll install the distributor in at this point, and we'll actually be verifying through the Sniper that this is the firing point for number 1. This begins the firing sequence. Now that the balancer is set up at 50 and the reference angle is at 50, the computer is now in sync with the timing.
Alright, now that our distributor is locked in at 50 degrees, we install an adjustable rotor. And what this does is you can't move the distributor now to reference it towards number 1 cylinder. So with the adjustable rotor, you can turn the rotor without moving the distributor to line yourself back up with number 1. And what this will do is get us close enough to run the engine and verify with the timing light.
It also gives us a chance to take up any inaccuracies, whether it be the position of the cam gear, installation of the distributor, or the balancer itself. So we had an issue with the temperature climbing, and it turns out when you buy the cheapest water pump you can find on Rock Auto, they don't really care. The housing and the fins internally and the impeller are all really different. Also a cast like the originals would be, that's what, aluminum?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to get that swapped, and hopefully that rectifies the cooling issue. So the great thing with the Sniper, if you remember, it comes with individual outputs for different controls, such as fan. There were a couple other things with it. An external pump.
Yeah, nitrous.
Yeah, so we're thinking of using the Sniper to actually control the fan temp. Now, we did make some alterations to the cooling system because we were having issues. We got the new water pump on. We have a little stronger CFM fan, and we're going to use some water wetter. I use this quite a bit in my day job, and I know there are results. So we're going to put that in, and I think we're just going to go ahead. Do you want to wire in the fan? Or we could, because we know the system is proven now, we could run it the way we had it, and then if we want better control over the fan time, we can wire it into the Sniper. How about that?
Agreed.
All right, let's get the coolant in there. Next step. It's coming along well, though.
Runs cooler.
They're using what? The Cummins antifreeze?
Yeah, Fleet Guard stuff, yeah.
So fucking Dodge guy through and through.
I had it, so.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh, it's just, yeah, nobody ever says, I just bolted on because it looks cool. It's absolutely doing anything. You just put that in there because you wanted to be a fanboy.
You're damn right.
Find me those butt connectors. All right, so Kev, while you're doing that, can you talk a little bit about changing the distributor pickup and all that stuff, why that was beneficial to us?
It had electronically controlled HEI distributor.
Okay.
And the RF interference was wreaking havoc with the fuel injection system.
What is RF interference?
Radio frequency.
Radio frequency.
So I got rid of all the electronic components in the distributor and just kept the magnetic pickup.
Made it a magnetic pickup.
Yeah. And hooked that directly to the Sniper system. So now
it has a provision for it. That's why you said, well, why don't we go with that?
Correct.
Because it did have a provision for it.
So now the Sniper controls all our ignition timing.
And that's why you went ahead and put the adjustable rotor and verified TDC, because now it's solely based on where that distributor is sitting in the engine.
Correct.
With the timing components for the Sniper. For the Sniper to handle timing, it has to be correct. It has to be set up correct.
Yeah. So you need the adjustable rotor to get it into phase, but you have to set a reference angle first. So what happens is the motor, the EFI system sees the magnetic pickup pass it at 50 degrees. It gets everything going, and then when the rotor comes up to 15 degrees, it fires the ignition system. So you can't really turn the distributor to adjust timing anymore. So that's why you have to lock it down there and use the rotor to move back towards number one. Yeah.
And there's adjustments in there where you can kind of make that ignition timing and that startup timing. It's basically injector timing in a way. There's ways you can scale it to fire it up sooner, past than before.
All of it. And you can have it pull, you can set it up to pull timing on the boost.
Okay.
At whatever you want. Usually it's a degree and a half per pound.
Sweet. What are we going to do about the water collecting in the valley pan?
We are I don't know. Right. I'm going to change that valley pan to a flat one at some point.
All right. We'll check in a minute. So another thing we opted for is the progressive linkage system for the Sniper kit. When we originally had it set up, it was more of like an on-off, and you would really have to stab the throttle, and it would just, Yeah,
if you want to drive the truck without boiling the tires everywhere, you need the progressive linkage kit. The 1-to-1 is just way too aggressive.
And it's literally just that rod and a cotter pin. But the theory is the first series will open, and you go into the Sniper and you time when the second set is opening, and you kind of allot that so it almost, in a way, will shut the back two injectors off.
I believe it does, yeah, because you have to get
the throttle percentage.
Yeah, when the secondaries start to open, and then put that in the handheld. So all it is the little link right here. Don't make fun of our throttle linkage because we're not done with it yet.
All right, so we're running, checking out the Sniper. Commanded air fuel is about 13.9, 14.0. Coolant is good. TPS percentage is 0. IAC is doing what it's supposed to. Seems that we have a grasp on the issues. We did have some trouble verifying timing, and absolute timing, static timing. I think the issue with the static timing was luckily that adjustable rotor saved our life.
The rotor was out of phase, is what the problem was. So we were firing way before number one.
Almost to the point where it couldn't fire on number one, it was jumping to the other cylinder. So we had almost a dead hole at fire up. You can see this engine now.
The problem too is you run into more problems with the small distributor cap because there's not a lot of space between the posts. So it's easy for the ignition to jump to the previous cylinder.
Yeah. And we were able to I think we took about 20 degrees out of the coolant at idle, which is really good because sometimes it would creep up to 225 while we were sitting there idling. Now, that's okay in a stock configuration, but with a lower thermostat and a set of electric fans and a bigger radiator, you would hope to take some heat out of the engine. So we were able to do that. And the throttle response right now is really, really... You notice the IAC hold the rev up. I really like this kit. We're gonna hit the road in a minute and check it out. That noise you hear, that clacking, is actually the large 100-pound injectors firing. At first I thought we had a rocker that fell off or we had another exhaust leak, but it was just the injectors firing. They hit hard. My SVO Complete does that too. It sounds like something's clacking under the motor, but it's just the injectors. All right, it's a maiden voyage. We're gonna leave the driveway and see what it's got. We're not gonna beat the hell out of it, but oh my God, look at that sexy. Is that a RS Turbo Mercury Capri? You're blocking it. This is the truck on its own. Now, remember from the previous video, the TV linkage isn't quite set up yet. It's a cop right there, so we're ignoring that. Temp's already dropping down fast. Just doing that. We commanded air fuel to be 13.5 at cruise, so that's good. Timing is set at 15 and not budging. Everything looks pretty good. Battery's holding a nice charge. IX doing its thing. Really nice. In a minute, we're going to watch TPS percentage and we're going to watch timing. It locks timing basically at your idle and your park. It'll go down to 15. But then when you tip in, when you roll into the throttle, with the ignition setup we have now, it's really, really cool how it advances on its own. And look at that. Hot shift, boom. Yeah, man, this is really working great. Well, not full throttle, but how does like rolling in? Does it feel like it's missing it all, or?
No, it feels good.
Yeah, because the timing, watching it on the scanner, the timing kicks right in.
I think the only thing that we're fighting with is the kickdown cable needs to be adjusted.
Want to go do that?
Yeah, we should.
We'll maybe adjust that, take a couple of road hits, and then we'll go do a burn ski.
Let's do it. All right.
So we made a TV adjustment in the cable and got it shifting a little better. This thing just cruises like the dickens, I'll tell you. 440 big block, fuel injected, in the driveway with your buddy, bad IAC, fix the ignition. She'll give you all the giggles. Ah, there's something wrong with the rear tire here. Nah, they look even from the back. I didn't see anything from the back, did you? Both tires looked like they were on the ground.
All right.
We're dancing, boys. You know, I wanna hang out with Kevin. I know it's not Ford related, but this is just so fun to me because my buddy's getting to put the truck together that he wants. Next installment's gonna be a cam for sure. And the great thing about that is there's provisions right in the Sniper EFI for a cam install. So the computer adjusts quite quickly, and I'm just really happy with the way everything turned out. We still got some mods to do, we still got some tinkering to do, but all in all, I mean, this truck really responded to the fuel injection, and it's not skipping, it's not losing any pedal. What's temp at? 207 after all that.
Yeah, it actually seems to cool off the faster the tires spin. Most of the problems, actually pretty much all the problems, were on the truck side, not the Sniper side. They worked fine when it was carbureted, but we ran into a lot of electrical interference when we switched to the fuel injection. So once we got past that, we were good.
Which is understandable for a situation like that. So really, I mean, we did have a bad IAC. You know, the IAC was defective, it was broken. Holley, you know, they manned up, they sent you out another one. Not an issue.
Yeah.
So kudos to them, you know.
Yeah, no questions asked.
Yeah.
The guy said, I'll send it right out.
You have an old carbureted system, you have that big giant coil there mounted on the firewall, that throws off a lot of noise. So we had to kind of backdoor that and figure that out a different way. We got to that point. Kevin got the adjustable cap once he converted the adjustable rotor once he converted the distributor over to magnetic pickup, and that solved probably 90% of our issues.
Yep.
The hardest thing was actually verifying where our static timing and our actual timing lined up. Once we got that sorted, you saw from the clip a little while ago, I mean, the truck It pulls, timing does what it's supposed to, air fuel keeps going back to where it wants to be. So all in all, I am quite pleased with this kit. So regarding the truck now, I mean, what else do you have in mind, or what else things you want to get to?
We're still chasing a little bit of a coolant problem. It runs warmer than I'd like it to, so we're gonna get a 4-core radiator.
Yeah, because we have the radiators mounted here, but we also have about 6 inches on each side where we could have a wider radiator. That could work. I do have to say that with the new CFM fan and the water wetter, we did drop temps probably by 15 degrees. Yeah. We need to verify our thermostat is clean and working. That could be an issue. But it's little things now. It's things that aren't going to kill the vehicle. We know it runs. We know it works. We know it's functional. And, I mean, how many stock cars run at 220? But with these, in a performance application, you're trying to take heat out, you know, and especially with the Sniper system, that may have some kind of effect on timing, starting timing. So it's just things we want to do. If we could see the temperatures drop 20 degrees and stay,
I'd like 200, around 200 or a little less.
Yeah.
And then the wiring harness, we'll need, now that we know it runs right, we'll go ahead and make the harness.
Loom it all up, yeah. And that's really all it is. We just kind of have some stuff hanging out there because we were technically taking a chance wiring in the ignition system like this. In all seriousness, Kevin's my best bud, and I'm glad we got to do this. And you know, the channel's all about having fun, and that's all I want to do is have fun. So you'll see more of this truck. I'm sure you'll see more of Kevin. We got a couple of Mustang swaps I'm going to talk about really, really soon. I've been collecting parts. Things have maybe changed. Some things have stayed the same, but it's going to be wild. So, man, 78 Dodge D100.
Yep.
It's fuel injected. It's got a big block. It blows the smoke out. And, yeah, we did it. Yeah. Thanks to Holley. Thanks for all you guys checking the video out. We'll talk soon. Peace.